let's talk about seats. I'm going to drag this seat over here. So, as usual, when I am out on the road, I find all kinds of stuff people don't know about. So we are going to give you a crash course in what you need to know. So first off, in the way of seats, you really want to get an aftermarket seat in your Jeep. I know you may not want it. You may not want to have to climb over this thing, but we offer a quick release steering wheel that makes it easier for that. And the aftermarket seat holds you better in the seat. I got to drive a Jeep with stock seats, and they absolutely suck. Okay, you have no side bolsters to hold you in. Every time you go around something, off camber, up, down, you're sliding all over the place. No good. You as a driver have to be planted, and that's super important. Now, for a long time, they offered this kind of I would almost describe it as like a burlap material. And the reason they did that is because it kind of grips your clothes. It holds you in there. It does breathe, so you don't get sweaty. But the problem is that after about 8 hours of this, it wears through, and you're going to get some raw spots in your, like down by your kidneys. So since then, what I recommend is that you get the center section of suede, and then the outside can be whatever choice material you want. Typically, it's a vinyl or something. But the suede grips your clothes, and it breathes. So it's a really nice material, and it won't rub you wrong. The next thing I want that people just don't realize is even an option is the removable seat cushion. So guys, this is a super important aspect. This thing comes out. I've just got this temporarily mocked up. This comes out, and you can take it in the house or in your RV or in your vehicle to keep it out of the weather. You can also build these in different thicknesses. So if you need one thickness and your wife needs a second thickness, you've got a bunch of options there. But meantime, it doesn't get wet, so or cold, depending on the kind of weather you're in. So I just wanted to let you guys know that was even an option. Most people don't even know it's an option. So super nice way to go. There's a variety of manufacturers. We sell, this is a PRP seat. We also sell the Simpson seats. They're both great seats. These have like a tubular construction. And in the race cars, we use a molded seat. Those are a lot stiffer. They're not necessarily what you want for a daily driver, but they're super nice. And if all you're doing is trail riding, you might want to consider one of those. Both companies offer that too. All right. Do we have any questions on that?
We do. Well,
come on, I'm moving on.
We have questions, different subjects.
Oh, okay. Well, let's before I get rambling on the next thing.
Okay. Mark Andrasek, can Tony comment on why Atlas hasn't released a transfer case for the JL?
Okay. For all of you with a JL or a JT, you have chosen a very computerized vehicle. I'm putting this as nice as I possibly can. Guys, gals, in order for Jeep to remain competitive in the market and pass all the 5-star safety stuff, they've got to computerize the crap out of that thing. Well, guess what? It's so much that Atlas can't even figure out a way to make a transfer case for it. So if you're waiting on one, you're going to be waiting for a while. So hopefully you got a Rubicon, so you got a 4-to-1, or you're going to be goofed for quite a while. So if that's important to you, then maybe you need to sell it and get yourself a JK. So I'm giving it to you straight. That's the honest truth. What do you got?
Jeff Barnard, do you make an inner fender for a JKU with Falcon 3.3 shocks that doesn't cover up the reservoir?
I don't make one specific for that, but the one we do make, you can trim and get to fit no problem. Yep. What else you got?
Let's see. Jason Adams, any battery tech type mounting location in cab or under hood?
I prefer to move my batteries either behind the seat or more toward the back. There's a little depression, right behind the seats in the Jeep, And you can get those batteries mounted down low. They're heavy, right? So you want them down low as you can. If you're a big guy and you need to move the seat all the way back, then that might not be a good location. Or maybe you could put it behind just the passenger seat. But you want to move as much weight as you can back. A lot of the Jeeps are like a 90-10, 90% of the weight's in the front. So I'm always trying to balance that out a little bit. You'll notice in the race cars, a lot of the time we move the radiator behind the seats, all the coolers. We're moving a ton of stuff back behind it. It's all to balance that out. And it won't hurt you. It's not as extreme as like moving the engine to the back where it's going to hurt its ability to climb. You've got a lot of things that you can move around in there and keep them low and still be really effective in the Jeep. And if you look at any of the Tracer builds we do or my Terremoto, all those batteries are down low and behind the seats. What else you got?
Byron Roberts, which PRP seat would you recommend for an 06 LJ driver has back issues?
I like the Elite Comp. Is that the one? We've got it on the website. It's their top of the line. And it might be the Elite Pro or the Comp Pro. But it is the nicest seat, and it has the removable seat cushion. So that's the one you want to look at for sure.
And he can probably call in and get the same information.
Yeah. All three of my guys are sitting there. Please call in. Give them something to do.
Let's see. Rick Hansen, 2014 Sahara Unlimited. Can you talk about lowering center of gravity, 5.5 Fox reservoir front shocks?
Yeah. So I can tell you this. Over the weekend, I met a gentleman who was wheeling with me, and on the one day, he had taken off the doors, the top, the spare tire. He had taken everything off. And the next day, the weather was bad, and he had all that stuff back on. And he came over to me, and he goes, whoa, like, you told me this makes a big difference. He goes, I've never done it back to back like that. He goes, it's terrible with all that stuff on it. So time and time again, we've told you guys, lower the weight of your Jeep. If you don't need all that stuff, get it out of there. Leave it on the trailer, leave it in the hotel room, whatever the deal is. Run your Jeep as light as you can. And if it means you got to put on a freaking jacket instead of running a top, come on, man. You're a Jeep guy. You should be tough. So figure it out, and you will like it. Now, if you're talking about lower center of gravity in terms of like our JK suspension, well, that's a totally different deal. So what we do is we move the belly up by taking all that crap out that's in the middle that hangs down and keep it completely flat. That moves the weight, the entire vehicle down. So where, I'll give you an example. The Terremoto on 40s, for you to take your Jeep and match the same ground clearance that the Terremoto has, you'd have to be on 46-inch tires, okay? I know this might be hard to grasp, but a 46-inch tire would mean you'd move it up 3 inches to get the same ground clearance that Terremoto has, because we move the belly up 3 inches, but keep the center of gravity down low. So this is the point I know we've talked about this 50 times on these lives. I've got to get it through everybody's head. It's super, super important. And if you have seen any of the videos, even from last weekend, when I drove down High Dive, I took this crazy line off to the left, just super off camber, but because my center of gravity is so low, I can just drive right over there and drop off. And everybody else was like freaked out. It took me 10 seconds to get down the obstacle. Everybody else, it took 10 minutes. So, yeah, time to pay attention. What else you got?
Veteran Suicide Awareness asked when we think the JL Elite suspension is going to be available.
Great question. Hold your horses. It's coming in this broadcast. All right, what else you got?
What would be proper shoulder harness belt angle when attaching the harness to the roll cage?
We're about to get to that. Is there anything else before I move on to the whole harness
No, go
thing?
ahead.
All right. So let's talk about harnesses. I'm going to take this thing out of my pocket, and I'm going to sit down in this chair because this is a super important aspect that almost nobody gets. So when you're sitting in a seat and you've got a 5-point style harness, you want this belt to do all the work right here. Okay, you need to crank this. Okay, your waist, your hips should be taking all the load. So if you flip upside down, that you don't jack up your back. What everybody else does is they take these and they crank them down. Well, guess what? When you go upside down or you hit the unexpected bump or whatever it is, you don't to keep you from going forward. Okay? So a typical 5-point harness, no, not up.
That belt.
That's right.
From going up.
And if you've never, I don't know if you're like zoomed in, but the way these work, because I have to explain this all the time too, is this piece slides on, then the 5th point, then the other one, then this. Okay? And you got to click it to make it snap in. And then you suck it down, and these are just to keep you from bouncing around forward. Okay? So, and then when we talk about passengers, a lot of the time we just like the passengers to just hold on here. So that way if we go upside down or whatever the deal is, they're not sticking their arms out. Okay, so you can cross, you can do whatever's comfortable for you, but you just hold on and stay along for the ride. Or if you're not comfortable, get out and walk. Okay, don't hinder the vehicle. And if it's that sketchy, we probably don't want your weight in there anyway, so get out. All right? Sorry. I've just been through this 1,000 times.
I wouldn't recommend
this past
saying
week.
that to the wife.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the time I just go, honey, this seems sketchy. You better hop out. I put it nicely, diplomatically. Okay. So any questions on how this is to be worn?
No.
And I don't ever want to see anybody doing it wrong again. Okay? Lap holds you in. And if you don't have the 5th point, you're not doing it right. Because like a freaking waistband. Okay? You got to have the 5th point. All right? And that needs to be like it should hurt when you're putting it on. Okay? You'll get used to it. Trust me, the seat kind of settles and you'll be fine. Okay? The moment you start moving, you won't think about it anymore. All right?